right. So 20-ish years ago, my wife and I came home from a weekend getaway. And as we walked into the family room, I saw some smoke coming out of the floor vent. And I said, oh, I wonder what that is. So I said, hey, I'll go downstairs and see what's smoking downstairs. And as I rounded the turn, the stairs were like two-decked, and as I rounded the turn, flames were kind of lashing out at me. And so there was a fire in the basement, and so I was like, oh, wow. You ever come home from a trip and you're like, I can't wait to jump in bed? Plans canceled. So I said, Shelby, there's a fire. We got to go. And I said, why don't you grab our coats? It's cold out, and then grab a cordless phone. I don't even know if we had a cell phone at the time, but we had the kind that no cord. That was a big thing. So we can call 911. I'll grab the dogs, and I'll meet you outside. So we do that. There's a fire, and go outside, and Shelby walks out. She's got the phone, and I was like, where's my coat? She's like, oh, I forgot yours. I was like, what? You ever get in these little, couple spats? And I was like, oh, no worry, I'll just stand by the house and keep warm. Optimal time for a little jab or something, So I was like, so she calls 911, and we call the fire truck, and there, the phone cord melted, halfway through, it cut out, and so she had to finish the call with the neighbors, and so we're waiting, and then I remember it was kind of super cool. When do you actually get to see firemen in action, right? So the truck is pulling into the driveway, and in my mind, it's so unusual. I see it still almost like it's a slow motion scene from a movie, right? So the fire truck hadn't stopped yet, and there's a dude, and he jumped off the side. It was like he had practiced this and hit it in perfect stride, like his inertia. And he runs, and I'm just I'm fascinated, and he runs. We have 2 basement windows. That's where the fire is. And he gets to the first one and kind of does this perfect pivot on his left foot, and he kicks, his arms go this way, and his right foot just goes right through the window. Rah! And I was just like, awesome. It's almost like something serious is going on, but there's also the other thing. And so then he turns, pivots, he goes to the second one, same deal, pivot, foot smash, shards of glass flying, and I remember I had this thought, he gets paid to do that. Now I know he's a hero and they don't get a lot of this action, but right now in this moment, he just got paid to shatter that window, and that's fun. By this time, second dude has left off the fire truck. He's running, and he's got the pole rammy thingy, right? The big long metal pole, the door slammer. And he meets the guy at the back fence. They go through the back fence, and they got the back doors right there, a big wood door. And there's handles on either side of this thing. And so they give it a couple of nice little rhythmic rocks, and then they just annihilate the back door. I remember thinking, that door was unlocked. You could have just, you guys are just having fun now. This is why not, right? Insurance is going to come. So anyway, they go in and they hose down the basement. And so that was kind of the beginning of that story. Fire wasn't really that bad. They put it out pretty quick, but if you've ever been around this, the smoke damage just torched everything. They couldn't even save the drywall. They didn't even have chemicals to clean it. And so essentially, we're a young couple, but we basically lost everything in the house that we owned. And so we weren't really super emotional about it, and but I worked at a school, and the church and school reached out and said, hey, what can we do? And I was like, I don't know. I don't really have anything, so there's that. And there I was like, but we have insurance. The insurance is great. We didn't just have I didn't even know. They weren't just going to give us a value of our couch. We could pick out a replacement that we wanted. So, I called France. No, I'm just kidding. We got our couch. We were good. But so they decided, let's try to pay his deductible, $500 deductible. So I was like, oh, okay. So when I finally came back to my job and school, they had we had a morning prayer time at the private school, and the teachers had taken up a collection. It was just touching because private school teachers don't make money, and yet they sacrificially said, and I was kind of overwhelmed because I didn't feel like I had need. Right? I have insurance, so. And then we went straight to a school chapel where they said, kids, y'all can wear jeans. You pay $1, and we're giving all the dollars to Mr. Shoe. And so then they had me sit up in front in a chair with a baseball hat. That was the official offering bucket. And the kids started streaming and putting in their money. But I started to notice it wasn't $1 bills. There were 10s, there was 20s. Somebody I had never met, $500 check. There was a $1,000 check in there. And by the end of that day, I went home with what I perceived as no financial need, and I had $3,500 to cover my $500 deductible. And when they were giving me the money, something in me broke. I call this the moment that testosterone left the building, because prior to this moment, I was like a normal guy, like I'd be like, oh yeah, that's pretty sad. I can totally get why you're crying. And since that moment, I'm like, I can't get through like Chicken Soup for the Soul, a little like short, so touching. This is real, like something broke. And so my best guess at this point is that in that moment, I realized that I was part of a family. And it was a big deal. And it wasn't just I had a friend. I was part of a body that was taking care of me. And I realized that maybe prior to that moment, I didn't know that or feel it in one way. And when all this love was coming my way, I didn't need the money, but I definitely needed to feel like people loved me and like I was part of a family. And so today we start a series called This Is Us. And one of the beautiful things about God's love, 2,000 years ago, He sent His only Son just to prove to you how much He loved you. That's what Christianity is about. It's the heart of a Father. It's the sacrifice of a Savior. But not only is it like our names are, we get to go to heaven, but in that moment where you say yes to Christ, you're born into something much larger. You're born into a family. And that moment, I kind of was walking in it. And I know it doesn't always function like that. I was thinking like, we're people. And I kind of wanted to publicly say, for those of you, which is probably 100% of you who have been hurt by somebody in the church, I'm sorry. That wasn't the family. Maybe it was. Families aren't perfect. And the family of God was always meant to be one where you were loved and accepted as part of the family. And sometimes they get it right. And in that moment, I knew that the way God designed this is when somebody has a house fire and they go through something traumatic, they do not go through it alone. The community, the family has a house fire. No one individual does. And that's the way the body is. We're there, we have different things and different giftings, and we're there for each other. It's one of the beautiful benefits. Jesus came that we would have life and have it abundantly. And that begins when you accept Christ, and part of that abundance is how we're one thing. We're one family, we're one community, we're one body, okay? So I wanted to kick off the series. Today I want to talk about something that was kind of new to me from the book of Hebrews, that we have unseen family. We have family that you have not seen, and we read the Old Testament stories, and we're like, that's a story about a guy that was thousands of years ago, and it's true. But God is a God of the living. These people that though they died, they are alive. And when we read them, I feel like Hebrews is trying to get us to recognize that they're part of our family. And that their story, when they speak, that it's supposed to inspire us to be people of faith, to run our race accordingly. So here's a couple verses. I'm going to read you first the last two verses of Hebrew 11, and it says this. And all these, so Hebrews 11 has listed a lot of people with stories from the Old Testament, And it's kind of coming to like a summary. It's talking about all these people, all the Abrahams, all the Davids, all the Baraks, all the Jephthahs, all these people, all the prophets. All of these, though commended through their faith, listen to this, did not receive what was promised. Interesting, right? They did not receive. Since God has provided something better for us, this is crazy. Listen to this next line. That apart from us, they should not be made perfect. You're part of their story. Isn't that a wild thought? That Abraham, though dead, though alive, though with God, and his story is so incredible, God has provided something better. That apart from us, they are not made perfect. I like to think in this, like, you think like, I don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of a big deal, right? So I think sometimes we go, my life is insignificant, or what am I supposed to do? You read big stories, and it's like he's going, the big stories aren't over yet. You're part of that. You're part of a body, and we're looking for you to run your race, right? Cut over to the next two verses, which is actually Hebrews 12, how we divided it up. And it says this, therefore, we're concluding. We're tying into chapter 11. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, we're surrounded by all those people that have been mentioned, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely. And let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. You're surrounded by those people. Again, we go, oh, they're not part of my family. My family is what I see. You have unseen family. These people are the people that we're talking about when we say, therefore, we're surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses. And the point here is that I think their stories are meant to inspire us. They're meant to give us hope. These witnesses saw the tough times. They endured. They made it through to the other side. And now here, when I'm in it, I'm supposed to hear their voice. I'm supposed to go, their story's connecting with me, and it's supposed to help me to run my race of faith, okay? I was thinking about, and I got caught up on the word cloud. I was thinking, oh, cloud. And so I was like, yeah, let me do some research and look up some concordances and different things and see what that means. And so I put this on the overhead for you to see. I came across a commentary from Rick Renner, who's a Greek expert. And he knows a lot more than me. And he said this, that the readers of that passage in that time would have understood the word cloud to refer to the highest seats at the top of a sporting arena. Totally makes sense, because he goes on to talk about running your race. He's giving you a picture of an athletic event in which you are a competitor, in which you're like being put to the test to see how you can do. And these people are going, we're in an arena, and the people he just mentioned, they're in there. They're in the cloud. The cloud was the top row of the seats in the arena. That, for me, as someone who played sports, is super motivational. I thought about it this way. As an athlete, think about somebody who's great. Let's use Tom Brady, right? You guys are all Michigan homers, so good. He's the greatest of all time, okay? But let me ask you, if Tom Brady was going to go to a sporting event to watch football, what kind of games would he go to? He's been at the pinnacle. He's seen the highest of levels of athleticism. Do you think he just randomly goes to junior high games? Isn't that so slow and boring to a person that has competed at the highest level? So what I'm saying is that God is telling you that the most elite stories that were written in Scripture, the people from those stories are who have been called to the arena to surround us. The most elite, they're going, this is a story I can't miss. They're in the cloud watching you going, come on, I mean, pretend, do the thing. Like, can you hear them? You got this. They know what it is. But this is a thing. And like, are you going to make it? I thought, so one of my sports that I played, I wrestled in high school. And I remember, it's almost like an arena in that you got the center part with the, the bleachers, the stands. And so I was remembering in 10th grade was when I bumped up to varsity. And one of the first home matches we had was against the team that the year before took second in the state. And I'm so nervous. Like, we've got a chance against them, and it's like they come out and they have the way they warmed up was intimidating. They had the two guys who had been in the state finals the year before. They're in the middle of the circle, surrounded by their team, and at every exercise they would yell, "Are you ready to throw down?" And in unison, the other guys would go, "Yes, we are." And I was like, we're gonna die. Like, these guys took second in the state. They're intimidating. There's something about chance, and and it was intimidating. So we're doing okay though. Our team's, I'm in the 189-pound weight class. So the weight class before me is going on, and coach comes over to me, and he's like, "Shoo, this is how it's playing out. The guy after you is for sure gonna win, and our heavyweight's for sure gonna lose. So it all comes down to your match." And I was like, "You're absolutely not helping anything." Like, I'm already ready to barf. Like, I am so nervous. I'm like in 10th grade. Like, this, I don't need any more pressure. So anyway, it gets to like mine. Well, my name ends in ooh. And if you know anything about sports, I think it's because we all started yelling boo at some point. But anyone whose name rhymes with ooh, there's a chant, right? Tiger fans, didn't we all yell every time we got up to bat? Lou, sweet Lou Whitaker, right? Well, that happened organically before my match. So I'm like, and I start hearing from the crowd, "Shoo." And I'm like, 16-year-old male competition. But now what happened was I had the support of those. And I tell you, it actually mattered. It actually played out into the match, and it gave me energy to wrestle my match. I did win. I know you're curious. I obviously looked out after and said, "Are you not entertained?" Gotta do weird movie quotes. So, but the point is I think our faith is like this. The story is like you gotta like view this as like this is real, and there's a spiritual realm, and these people are in the cloud cheering you on, going, "You're gonna do this, come on." You know how you just root for somebody? So this is my story. Now, I thought it'd be better to talk about a couple of the people in Hebrews 11, okay? So, but I don't know if you know this, but one thing that happens when you get ordained as a minister, you get prayed over, some oil anointing. But another thing that happens is they give you this pager. And if any time you need help with a sermon, you click the pager, and it sends out this intergalactic beacon. And if there happen to be any heroes of the faith that are available, they'll respond to the beacon and come help you, okay? So I got that, and this week I said, let me send out the beacon. This is all real, no lying, this is church. So, again, blame my family later. So I sent out the beacon, and sure enough, 2 of the actual people from Hebrews 11 responded to this call. And I thought rather than me tell you their story, it'd be better for you to hear it from them firsthand. So Gideon, and Rahab, why don't you come on up? And Gideon, if you would, hi Gideon, hi Rahab, everyone greet our intergalactic heroes. Gideon will be sharing first a little bit about his story and what we should be motivated by in his story. Hey, Gid.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good.
Got your beacon?
How was the trip?
Long,
okay.
Very long trip.
Yeah, I don't really know how that works. Good.
I don't know. I'm really confused about your clothing, though. I see that you're not wearing a tunic. Why are you not wearing a tunic?
Well, got nothing witty. When you teleported intergalactically, did you have to wear a mask? What's that look like nowadays?
No, they lifted the mask.
They lifted the mask mandate. I knew it. Okay. Yes. Okay. Tell us your story, Gideon.
So my story is, I think, a story that you may all share in and understand really well. When I was growing up, we didn't have a country like this. We were a country that was very, very oppressed. There was a group of people called the Midianites, and we couldn't even number how many there were. There were so many. There were thousands and thousands and thousands. And anytime we would plant crops, anytime we'd try to get ahead in life or make a change that would benefit our people or our family, they'd swoop in and they'd come in and they'd take everything. So what I did was I decided to go hide our grain in a wine press and grind it out in there. But we were helpless. There was nothing we could do, and the best we could do was hide. And so that's what I did. And in the middle of me hiding, trying to create enough bread for my family and for myself, an angel of the Lord appeared to me. And he said to me, "Mighty man of valor, the Lord is with you. The Lord is with you, mighty man of valor." And it made me really frustrated in the moment. I got mad about that. I said, the Lord is with me. If he was with me, then why is he letting all this stuff happen to us? Why does these people keep coming in and taking everything we have? If the Lord is with me, why am I stuck in a wine press making grain for bread? And the angel said to me, "Go in your strength and deliver the people." And for a while I doubted that, but through multiple miraculous occurrences, he confirmed that that was what I was supposed to do. So I went and I gathered an army. 32,000 Israelites came. 32,000, imagine that. I felt weak. I felt incapable. I felt like I wasn't going to be able to do this. But 32,000 came. And then, after I got that massive army, I thought, okay, we've got a shot. We've got a chance. When I was just starting to feel capable, God told me, got to get rid of some. It's too many. You're too strong. Thanks, God. Started with 32,000. Immediately, off the top, 22,000 he took away. And then I said, okay, well, we've only got 10,000, but we might be able to still make this work. He said, no, you're too strong. Another test. And he took away all but 300. Me and 300 men to defeat an army we can't even number. So we went out, and God gave us the ability miraculously to go see what was going on in the heads of the Midianite people, the army that was oppressing us. He brought us into their camp, and we listened to them talk about their dreams, and they were dreaming terrible, fearful dreams about how we would destroy them. Get that, all 300 of us. But they were terrified. And God gave us a plan and a vision that was completely unthought of by most generals. And we went in with pots and pans, and we went in with torches, all 300 of us, in the middle of the night, and we banged them and said, "The sword of the Lord and of Gideon." And the Midianite people were so terrified that they actually woke up and started killing each other and slaughtering each other. And we chased them down, and we slaughtered them, and we took everything that they took away from us. We were no longer oppressed. We were no longer beaten, because God delivered us through his miraculous power. And if I have an encouragement for you, if you're walking in a time of life where it feels like you are oppressed beyond what you can bear, when there's nothing you can do, you've tried everything, but it's too big for you, the problem's too huge, when you feel weak and incapable, when you feel like you're the least important, least significant person on the planet, in those moments, realize this: so was I. And God used me to deliver Israel in a completely miraculous way.
Awesome. Thank you, Gideon, for coming and visiting and encouraging us. Rahab, what's your story?
My story. Well, I grew up in Jericho. That's where I lived, in Canaan. It was a city renowned for the strength of its walls. And my house was actually built into the outer side of one of those walls. And I had a window that looked out over the outskirts of the city. And my house was a gathering place. No respectable people ever showed up, though.
I like how you're wording things, Rahab. Yes, it's very, very couth.
Thank you.
Yes.
If you didn't know, I made my living as a prostitute
All
in
right,
Jericho.
We're going into it. Yep. All right.
There's,
I like
it's
it.
the truth.
Yes, it's valid. It's part of your story.
And there was this one day, these two men showed up at my house and they asked for a hot meal. And I could tell looking at them, they were there to lay low. They were trying so desperately to blend in, and they just didn't. They stuck out like sore thumbs. And I thought, these are Israelite men. We've heard about these guys. And I heard this commotion down the street. And I looked out and I saw there were soldiers coming. And I thought, there's only one reason that they're coming this way. And I told the two men, go run upstairs. And I hid them on my roof under some flax bales that I had up there. And I came back down and I confronted the soldiers that were banging on my door. And they said, bring out those two men. Those are Israelite spies in the name of the king of Jericho. Hand them over to us. And I had a choice in that moment. And I thought about the stories that we had heard about Israel and their God. We heard about the wonders that had happened in Egypt years ago. We heard about the crossing of the Red Sea, and we heard about these battles won against great armies in the wilderness. And I knew their God was with them, and I knew he was real. And we had also heard that they were coming to Canaan to claim their land. And so I made a choice. And I looked at the soldiers and I said, oh, I saw them. They were here. I don't know who they were. No, I don't know where they came from. They're gone. They left. I think they're about to shut the city gates, though. If you hurry after them, you might catch them. And so they left. They ran off and they shut the city gates, and we were all stuck inside the city until dawn. And I went upstairs and I talked to those two Israelites and I said, I know your God is real. I know he's powerful, and I know we don't stand a chance. Our hearts are melting with fear. Everyone here in Canaan knows you're coming, and we are terrified. I have shown kindness to you. I stuck out my neck for you, and I have hidden you. Please show the same kindness to me and my family. And they said, yes, we will. So I took this cord, and I hung it out my window that went all the way down outside the walls. And they left, and I said, when you come back, see this cord and spare the lives of the people in my house, my mother, my father, my brothers, and my sisters who are all here. And they swore that they would. So when the Israelites came and they took the city, me and my family were the only ones who were spared. Because I knew to reach out to the God of the Israelites. And after that, they took me in. I joined the people of Israel, and I married a man from the tribe of Judah. And our great-great-grandson was King David, which also means that Jesus Christ was my descendant as well. So there are a multitude of reasons that should have disqualified me from being used by the Lord. I was a Canaanite, a pagan, an idol worshiper. I was a woman in the ancient world and viewed as property. And because of my profession, who would give me the time of day? God didn't think that disqualified me. So if you think that there's anything in your past, where you come from, what you've done, your lifestyle, your profession, God doesn't matter. He brings you into his family, into his people, and he writes you into the great big story. I'm listed in the lineage of Jesus Christ. He's there for you, and he wants you to be in his family.
Thank you so much. Ty, if you want to play background, we're just going to wrap up today. And I think if you have need of prayer, I will invite you in just a second. The way that I process usually is if something sparked something in you at some point in the service, it could be a song, it could be, we mentioned about mothers hoping for a touch from Jesus to restore their children or to restore their dreams. The message, and we have Gideon and Rahab telling us you're not disqualified. You may feel oppressed, And so if you want prayer along any of those things, we're going to have people up here to pray for you. In addition, I felt in my heart like we should offer a lot more just if you need physical healing. I feel like that's something that Jesus just kind of was just always into, and when you're not physically feeling well, it affects a lot of things. And so we're going to have people up front to pray for anything you want, but I've given the invitation for those things. And so if you want to come forward for prayer, great. If you're good, then I'm going to dismiss you. Just maybe go in the back or out. Just try to keep it quiet for those, they might be having a special moment. So just be a little bit respectful. So just if we could, just stand up. If I could have leaders and Gideon and Rahab back up for prayer. Anybody who wants prayer, come on out. Everybody else, God bless you. Happy Mother's Day. Go have a good lunch with someone who's a mother figure in your life. You are dismissed.